Here we go now. A case of beer, some barbecue. There's no doubt
Check, testing
that I'm
1 2.
better than you. With these looks and these moves, you can't blame me for being so rude. The land of the red, white, and blue will be my home till the day I die. I'm every lady's fantasy. I'm the American guy. The trailer park is where I'm from. You better believe I have about 27 guns. Baseball games, pickup trucks. I'm leagues above you other dumb schmucks. I'm from where the women are hot and the Twinkies are deep fried. And every day I pledge allegiance to God and country. I'm the American guy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast, coming at you on a Wednesday, because we got this crazy schedule going on with this gig that I'm working. Hi, everybody. My name is Grandpa Choco, and this is the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast, episode number 63, the podcast that is ready to play red light, green light with you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to have you all here. We have a fun show today. We hit the end of teaser season, but even though we hit the end of teaser season, there are still some things that we can talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is our patrons, the people who make this show and the other fun projects from Saturday Morning Media possible. Huge shout out to all the patrons, and a big shout out to our patron producers, Dorothy Pachoco, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, David Akers, and Vicky Sebring. If you would like to become a patron and help support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media. Well, let's get into the news, what there is of the news, and there is a few things to talk about. And first of all is that the Q3 releases from Filsinger Games are shipping, have shipped, depending on when you ordered it. If you pre-ordered it, they have shipped. If you just ordered it today, it probably hasn't shipped yet, but Todd is doing his best and getting the stuff out there. I got a bunch of Q3 releases, and you can see a video on the GWF Promoter YouTube channel, which is the same channel that I do this podcast on, of an unboxing of some of the latest stuff. So if you want to check that out, you can do so. But the other big news was that I challenged Filsinger Games and the Legends team to keep the results of the Legends Promoter Prime fan votes silent, to keep it quiet, and to let it be a surprise when we open the packages. And I have to say, as if you watch on my unboxing video, it was certainly fun to see those names for the first time when I opened the envelope. So spoiler alert, I'm about to spoil them right here. But the three names are Big Bully Busik, Johnny Rodz, and the Trooper for some reason. But those are the three names that won the fan vote. Three new cards that were released in Legends Promoter Prime Q3 for 2021. Those are the winners of the fan votes. They go, if you listen to the latest Roll Up podcast, I believe it's the episode where they talk about Future Shock, the latest Future Shock release. They break down how the voting played out and all that kind of good stuff. But there are your names for Legends, the Q3 Promoter Prime. So here, and before we wrap up talking about this, I want to commend the Legends team and Filsinger Games on accepting my challenge, and to everyone who was sort of grouchy that I made that challenge. it's okay. You got your cards now. You know who it is. You'll be fine. But you know what? Hey, let's do it again. Let's do it again, huh? Next time there's a fan vote, let's keep it quiet. Well, everybody wants spoilers. What about having some fun when you open the envelope, harking back to those days where one or two cards were kept as a mystery? Let's do that again. Let's get back to that because that is fun. Other news that the Filsinger Games is not. It's not that they're not talking about this. They have mentioned it before, but they didn't really make a big deal that it has happened. Is at one of the virtual cons earlier in the year, they mentioned that the Legends Color starter set was running out of print and there was going to be a second printing, and some of the cards would have some tweaks on the back. Well, apparently that second printing is now available. If you go to the Filsinger Games website, if you order the starter set, you will get this second printing that has some tweaked cards. Now, we don't know the full list. Filsinger Games hasn't said. Maybe Uncharted Territories, they are going to talk about it. But the Legends color set is a new printing. It's the second printing, and some of the cards have some tweaks. Now, on the message boards, it was kind of found out that Jimmy Snuka has some updated tweaks on the back of his card, and I placed an order this week for new copies of the set. So when those come in, and they should come in soon, I might not get to look at them until Monday because I have to go back to my gig on Thursday. But if those come in, I will compare with the backs, and we will try and get a rundown of the changes that were made. But this new second printing is available. So if you are a completist, if you are somebody who likes to get all versions of all different cards, order this Legends Color Starter Set second printing right now over at filsingergames.com. And maybe they will, Filsinger Games or Uncharted Territory can go over what some of those changes were so that we can, so that us collectors out there will know. But if not, I will certainly be comparing them to the original cards. But I'm actually not very good at seeing what's different between the cards, which is evidenced by the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Act 3 set, where we didn't realize there was a spelling mistake on one of them until the first batch went out. But anyway, find out more at filsingergames.com. The other thing is the big October virtual con is happening on October 17th, so you'll want to make sure you get your tickets for that, and get them soon, because I believe Todd is going to be putting together the tournaments sooner rather than later. So if you want to participate in the tournaments, you want to make sure you get that. But buy a ticket even if you're not going, so you can get the exclusive card that is going to be released at that event. Of course, filsingergames.com is the place to go for that. Between now and then, we probably won't have a ton of news coming out of Filsinger Games, but you know what? We'll find stuff to talk about here on the podcast. For example, today, where we are going to talk about Origins 2137 and sort of my review after playing about almost 25 cards. I've played about 23 cards already of Origins 2137, and I know we had Tom on here to talk Origins 2137. So if you missed that, if you didn't see that, you definitely want to go back and check that out. But this is sort of my review of the set, having played these cards so far. So as always, these are my opinions. Okay, so going into this, I'm just saying these are my opinions. You do not have to agree with my opinions. That's great. That's why being a fan is fantastic. Some of us wanted Adrian Adonis in the Promoter Prime polls. Some of us wanted the Trooper. It's all good. If you're a fan of the game, you're a fan of the game, and I am not going to. My opinions on the set are not meant to harsh your enjoyment of the set. The other thing I want to say is spoiler warning, because I will be talking about some of the storylines. So if you have not read 2137 yet, if you're waiting to get into it, then you should maybe skip to the end of this episode. And there you go. All right, so let's go through. I'm going to go through card by card of my thoughts and feelings of the new cards, and we are going to start with Scorn. Scorn is really kind of my least favorite card in the set. She's been a character with sort of no direction, hopping for good to bad for seemingly no real reason for a while now, and now she's paired with Shane, who, in my opinion, is the one character who doesn't need anyone else, doesn't need to be paired for anyone, as shown by him leaving Sly Drury on martial law in this set. So yeah, I wasn't really super excited about this. I get that Tom was kind of going for this mixed tag team stuff in this new set. I'm probably not going to play too many mixed tag team matches. I don't have anything against them. It's just not the way I play. I'm not pairing her with Shane unless down the road there's a real reason, and so far I haven't had a reason. But what I have had fun doing, because I like finding out ways to use cards even if I'm not 100% on it, is I've had her as she's sort of fangirling on Shane, so that explains her outfit, and Shane just kind of wants nothing to do with her, but she has interfered in a few of his matches, so she's kind of this like uber fan with Shane, and that's kind of the direction I'm playing, at least for now. Scorn, I will say, this card is a great card in terms of power and abilities and all that kind of stuff, and is my current Galaxian Women's Champion. So there you go. Maybe that's the universe just spiting me for saying that I'm not a huge fan of this card. Moving on to Azuma, I am such a fan of this update. I want to give him a big singles push, but as of yet, he hasn't done too well singles-wise. He's only getting a win here and there, but I'm still hopeful. And I may put him back in a tag team down the line if the singles thing isn't working. Now, here's the thing. I just mentioned that I don't want to pair Shane up with anybody, but I think a real interesting tag team would be Shane and Azuma. Shane is my current interplanetary champion, so I'm not in a big rush to do that. But it's just an interesting pairing that I kind of like the idea of Shane and Azuma, and just this thing where they're warriors, they respect each other, but they're not partners necessarily, and they may even disagree with how each other handles things, but neither of them back away from a fight. So really love the artwork here on Azuma, and I should say I love the artwork on Scorn. It's amazing artwork. All the artwork for this set is fantastic. I'm just talking about the character of Scorn. Anyway, enough on Scorn. Azuma is great. Love this artwork. When I first saw this artwork, I was jazzed. I was pumped. I absolutely love this artwork, and I think it's some of the best artwork in the set. Talking about favorite artwork in the set, this Dark Menace card is one of my absolute favorite art pieces in the set. Not sure he needed a new card otherwise. I mean, there were some tweaks to how he enhances people, enhances his wrestlers in the back. I do also feel that Dark Menace has kind of been around for a while, and it would be nice to get some sort of new manager blood. Same thing with Lord Nexus. It would be nice to get some new managers in the mix, but he appears to be central to storylines going forward, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes. And I love this artwork. This artwork is classic Marvel villain pose, and it's just really a lot of fun. I do use him. He's in a big feud right now with Massive over who is the commissioner, and Massive has laid down some suspensions, and Dark Menace has said those suspensions don't matter. So I am having fun playing this card, but I'm ready for some new managers to come in. But again, great artwork and fun mechanics. Although I will say this, he's got fun mechanics on his card, but I other than enhancing a finisher and enhancing the pin rating, I don't really use many of the other enhancements on the back of the card. Maybe this is a good question for a future question of the show, but which enhancements that you use, because outside of those two, like enhancing his strength, enhancing agility, usually it doesn't make a difference to sway a match, or to make a huge difference. But usually I just go with the finisher enhancement or the pin rating enhancement. But anyway, great artwork, fun card. Moving on to Fist and Siege, solid upgrades here. Usually I keep my tag teams as teams and don't let members of the teams wrestle solo, but I've been letting these two do it this year. Siege certainly seems to be poised to be the new Gladiator star in the years ahead, but I kind of hope he gets some personality. He's just kind of like, yeah, I'm a big tough guy, and I'm going to beat you up, which I know is kind of the Gladiators thing, but I always like it when Gladiators sort of develop a personality. Like, Mayhem was just this wild and crazy personality, and, Vengeance was this sick, sadistic personality. So I would love to see Siege and Fist get some sort of more refined personalities. I'll say that. Fist is someone who, when Shane was my Galaxian champion and had a just record-breaking reign, Fist holds a rare win over Shane in a non-title thing. Well, I don't think it was a win, but he came close to beating him. So Shane is a little bit... if there's one man who rattles Shane, it is Fist. And so I'm looking forward to, I haven't done it yet, but I'm looking forward to putting Fist in the ring with Shane and seeing how this new card stacks up. Moving on to the other new Gladiators, Storm and Bulldoze. I really like these two. Storm came into my Fed red hot. Bulldoze got injured in her second match. So it was kind of a, take the good, take the bad type thing. I like what they bring to the women's division, even though I probably will not be running a women's tag division. I kind of wish, I know we talked to Tom about this. I kind of wish they had been Bruton Massacre's daughters. I think that would have been an interesting tweak. But Storm coming in to avenge her father's death because she found out who the real killer was or something like that, but fantastic artwork, fantastic cards. Glad to get Bulldoze out of injury, and right now she's defying the suspension that Massive put her in. And so some great matches with these two. And I kind of, we talked to Tom about the artwork on these Gladiator cards and about how they were going to be connected. These two seem to be the ones that are almost connected, but not quite. Anyway, just great artwork, great cards. Would not want to get on Bulldoze's bad side, that is for sure. Moving on to Orvis and Tarval. Super happy that Orvis is official. So glad that the stats kind of changed a little bit going from the best of set to Origins 2137, but it wasn't like a huge downgrade or anything. He still can win some big matches, and probably my favorite character out of the set. Tarval had a great run in my ranking gauntlet, and that has caused a little friction between Orvis and Tarval, and just super excited to explore these two more, get them in more matches. Love the artwork on both of these cards. Loved Orvis's original artwork, love his artwork here. Super happy that they are in the Fed, and super happy to see where they go forward. Tempest and Hydra, some of the very best art in the set, and the way it connects just makes a really fantastic piece of artwork. I was really surprised because my initial look at their stats made me think that they would kind of be like maybe upper mid-carder, but they've been pulling out some really strong wins. I have been a little bit disappointed. I think I mentioned this in the talk I had with Tom about this set that Tempest just came in and destroyed Burning Man and pretty much just ended the feud before it could really get going. Just completely trounced him the couple times they met. And as a side note there, I think Burning Man needs an upgrade or he needs to leave. He's been sort of lost for several game editions now, for me anyway. But Tempest has been really, really great. And had some great wins against Totalis as well. And in my Fed, he made a great friendship with Endgame. So that is kind of a fun partnership to kind of reminds me of Octagon and Wolf, two people from two different teams, but they're good friends. And I think Endgame and Tempest have a great friendship in my Fed. And going forward, if Tempest emerges as a leader for the anime, Endgame is a good ally to have. And Hyla has done well. She hasn't fared as well as Tempest has, but still a fun card to use, and picks up a surprising win now and then against some wrestlers who would be, in my opinion, statted higher than her and have a better chance. So two great cards there. Aethrin Soldier, rounding things up here. Aethrin Soldier, just in terms of cards, decent card, has performed better than I expected, and kind of hope that something comes from this card. And, in the future, I know that it was sort of like this bonus pack thing, so not necessarily necessary to play the game, but would be kind of cool to see one Aethrin Soldier kind of break out and maybe get their own card in a future game edition. Also love, and I talked to Tom about this, that the Aethrins now have this logo, and this logo like on their armor and on the Aethrin Soldier's armor and stuff, and it's fun. It fleshes out the world of the Aethrins a little bit more. So moving on to the Handbook. Moving on, the PDF of the Handbook seems to have been exported, at least the PDF that you download online seems to have been exported at sort of a lower quality, and the art on the cover is sort of pixelated. It's something I brought up to Tom. It's something I brought up to Filsinger Games. I haven't re-downloaded it recently, but it kind of, the artwork on the inside and on the cover seems that it's weird. But what's weird is that the banner image on the Filsinger Games Twitter page is perfect, but the PDF download is still like all kind of pixelated and weird. I'm hoping someday that'll get fixed because it's fantastic artwork and it should be seen in its proper resolution. But I also do know that Filsinger Games is very, very busy and all that kind of stuff. So, I get it, but it's great artwork and I want to see it in high quality views. Also in the Handbook came the Bullwhip match, the Earth Bullwhip match, and it's a fun match. I think I've run one or two of them, and it will definitely become a staple with Shane in my Fed for sure. Talking a little bit about the story that took place in Origins 2137. I like the main story of the Handbook with the gladiators invading Castellax. I think it was a fun thing. I know Tom and I kind of talked about this, and he talked about how the Conquerors are comic relief, and I certainly think that Tharkus and Murtak are comic relief, and but Saber kind of came in last year as he's going to be this leader, and then Epoch joined the team, and he is sort of a leader, so I thought, oh great, you'll have this great power struggle between Saber and Epoch. But then the writing is, I get it that Tharkus and Murtak are comic relief, but it seems kind of like Saber and Epoch are comic relief now too. And I don't know, I would have liked them to be serious and Tharkus and Murtak to be these goofs. And then, you kind of would have this team where it's these two serious guys and it's like, oh, these two idiots we have to deal with all the time. I don't know, like the writing to me just seemed a little bit jokey for all of them. But we'll wait and see what happens. I kind of see this as a transitional team. I don't know if Epoch's going to stay here or if Saber's going to stay here. And, as we heard, Saber came in last year. And we've heard from Tom that the big event of Origins 2137 is happening next year. I think Saber's going to have to do with that. I think Saber was sort of the matador of M83 to whatever's coming down the line. That's my prediction, my early prediction anyway. The handbooks are always a treat. If you're like me, I reread them several times. It was billboarded that this was sort of one of or is the longest handbooks ever. And is that a good thing or not? I mean, I don't, maybe the books could do with some creative editing. I don't just mean for typos, but, just trim a little things here and there and just, leave them more to the imagination. I'm not critiquing Tom's writing at all. I'm just talking about the length of these handbooks and, I'm just putting it out there. Could they be shorter? The other thing I was thinking about when I was reading this handbook is that the layouts of the handbook has always been sort of the story and the press conferences and then bios. And I'm wondering, I don't know what the solution to this would be, but I'm wondering if there could be a better way to do this. And here's the point that made me think about this. In the book, when the gladiators breach the castle on Castellix, it's said that Storm, Bulldoze, Siege, and Fist are there, but besides Fist, we don't really know who any of them are. At that point in the book, we don't know that Siege is probation. We don't know who Storm and Bulldoze are. We just know that they're with the Dark Menace. So you're kind of left to wonder, well, who are these characters? And you don't know who they are until you get to the bios. So you either have to stop reading and then look up into the bios and see who these wrestlers are, or you just read it all the way through and then you read the story and then it fills in the gaps when you read the bios. I just don't know. I don't know if there is a better way to present these new characters in this story. Because they were just kind of written like, and you know who they are. And I'm like, well, wait, we don't know who they are. Obviously they're gladiators, but we don't know who they are. So, I don't know. I think, I think there might be a better way to do that. Overall, this is a super solid set. Maybe I think last year's set was so great. Origins 2136. I think top to bottom, the storyline, the cards, everything else was perfect. I don't know if this set is means that much to me as Origins 2136 did, but it's still a fantastic set. I think it's kind of a set where the characters kind of outshine the story in the handbook. I do like that Tom didn't put a bunch of crazy gimmicks and mechanics on the cards. I think that it seems like we are getting out of an era where there was a lot of crazy mechanics on cards, and I just love a good solid card. Some of the move names are a little silly. Tempest has a squat jump. I looked up squat jump to see what kind of wrestling hold that is, and it's an exercise, but I don't know how it's a wrestling move unless you squat jump onto somebody. But anyway, it's fun. I'm eager to see what I think of these cards, because I'm kind of halfway through my year, what I think of these cards at the end of 2137. And I hope they fix the PDF. And if my bitching about it here on the podcast makes it happen, it'll all be for good, because that artwork deserves to be seen in the high resolution that it is. And there you go. That is my review of 2137. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments of this video. Sorry if that was very long-winded, but as I said, we don't have any news this week, or any big news as of yet, so I needed something to pad out the time. Well, it's time for the match of the show. Of course, last episode we had a brand new champion in Spike. I asked you who Spike should face this week, and we got 3 great suggestions: Iron Mane, Harley Race, and Mayhem. I put those 3 names into a randomizer. I randomized them all up, and ladies and gentlemen, Spike faces a tough first challenge, and someone he knows very well in Mayhem. So the title is on the line against Mayhem. Let's roll for some initiative and Spike coming out of the gate hot. A classic matchup here, Spike and Mayhem. Spike throws Mayhem into the turnbuckle. The opponent charges at you with a running shoulder dive, but you move out of the way, and Spike goes crashing out of the ring. Spike's going to roll on the out of the ring chart. And in order to meet the referee's count, you crawl helplessly back in the ring. Opponent rolls on level 3 offense. Oh no. Mayhem rolling hits a pile driver on Spike. Only a level 2 move. Hurt 2. Cranium Cracker 3 on Spike. Hurt 2. Mayhem in charge here. Hits another Cranium Cracker for 3. Another hurt 2 there by Spike. Backbreaker 2 on Spike. Hurt 2 on Spike. A Power Slam 2. Spike is going to reverse that and roll on level 2 offense with an elbow smash for 2. Dazing Mayhem. Not doing the damage he had hoped. And into the turnbuckle again goes Mayhem. And Mayhem lifts a knee into Spike's head and will roll on level 2 offense and hits the big Mayhem manslaughter, hurting Spike. Mayhem hits the Cranium Cracker again. Big rolls here. And we are rolling the pin. All right. Spike's pin rating is a 3. We are rolling the pin. The target is 3. The roll is an 8. But Spike will get 1 fatigue token. And Mayhem rolls on level 3 offense, going up for a death jump against Spike. Spike recovers and throws Mayhem off the top into the ring, and Spike now will roll, and he hits the Mega Destroyer! Here it is, a big +4 move, so the target will be 6. The roll is an 8, so 1 fatigue there for Mayhem as Spike rolls again, and he hits another Mega Destroyer! Oh my gosh, is this Spike putting him away? Let's see, we are rolling pins. The target will be 7. The roll is a 3. Your winner and still champion. Had a little bit of trouble with Mayhem, but Spike does it again. He is still the podcast grand champion. Who should Spike defend against next week? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know. It is time for the question of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, I asked you, do you regularly run 6-man tag team matches? And if so, do you have a title for them? I've been watching a lot of Memphis wrestling, and there's a lot of 6-man tags on Memphis wrestling. And so we got some great responses. Joe says, I do have a 6-man tag championship. My current champions are Ivan Koloff and the Powers of Pain. This title doesn't get defended as much as the other titles. So there you go. Thank you, Joe. Michael Brown says, I never liked a 6-man tag title, but I do a 6-man tag tournament in my GWF called Battle Zone each year as a special card. It's a good diversion for my regular cards. I love that, Michael. I may swipe that from you and do the same thing. ScottyBoy9999 says, I run 6-man tag matches from time to time, but would never have a title for them. Don't want to inundate the Fed with too many belts. I'm in CPC 2105 timeline and my own Fed, and there are already loads of storyline-driven titles floating about. Totally get that. Jared B says, as for 6-man matches, I have never been keen on them, so about the only time I run them is as a Aethrin Ultimate Escape match if the gladiators are in a particular feud. I must be hungry. Jared, thank you. And Joe wraps us up by saying, I do have 6-man tag titles in my UWA Fed. I hope to one day have Michael Hayes and Buddy Rogers to complete the Freebirds. I have good bootlegs for them. The Midnight Express, Condry and Eaton, along with Stan Lane, are my 6-man tag champions. They're getting a lot of heat from the Rock and Roll Express and Marty Jannetty. Another great team. That's another great threesome right there. So thank you to everybody who answered the question of the show. Here is the question for this week. What is your favorite house rule? For example, my champions always are the red die. They're always the red die. It's not really a rule, but it's just sort of this house thing that I do, that the champions are always the red die. What is your favorite house rule that you always play as? I would love to know. Well, as we wrap up here, I want to let you know what else is going on in the channel. I did a big unboxing of some of the Q3 releases, so you can check that out. That is my most popular video this week. Also did a Legends 4-pack overview with with all the finishers and everything for the new Legends 4-pack. I did a promoter-made card unboxing for Howler, so you can check that out. And then I've had several episodes of my Champions of the Galaxy Fed because I spent a lot of time in the hotel, and guess what I'm doing in the hotel? I'm playing my Champions of the Galaxy Fed. And then just this morning, I did the final of a Hollywood Elite Wrestling card too. So you can check all these out at youtube.com/GWF Promoter. Lots of great content there, Filsinger Games related and otherwise. And I think that is going to, I'm going to ring the bell. That's going to end the match. There is now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to that, I want to recommend the other Filsinger Games podcasts, Uncharted Territory, Roll Up, After Further Review with Steve Tower, Heartland Championship Wrestling with Dave Little, and Lee Longpre with the Dizzy Dice Podcast, who messaged me saying he was moving, and so that's why the podcast is on a bit of a hiatus. But Lee, we're looking forward to you getting back to it, and hope the move is going well. Hey, there's an audio version of this podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcast, and it's even included in some new Samsung smartphones. New Samsung smartphones that are coming out have a built-in podcast app, and the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast is preloaded in the directory on there, so you can check those out if you have a new Samsung phone. If you have a topic you'd like the show to cover, leave it in the comments. Make sure to subscribe or follow, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, because we're now broadcasting direct to Twitter. And follow GWF Promoter on social media at GWF Promoter. You can check out my personal feds at gwfpromoter.com and lowpromoter.com. The theme song is American Guy by Throwing Toasters, used by permission and available on Apple Music, Spotify, and anywhere you get your music. This podcast is not affiliated in any way with Filsinger Games or its subsidiaries. It's purely for entertainment purposes. This episode is copyright 2021 Saturday Morning Media, all rights reserved. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Christopher, Todd, and anyone else who was tuned in watching. Really appreciate it. We will be back next week, maybe Monday, maybe Wednesday. You know, we keep you guessing, but we'll see you back here next week. Have a good week, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Goodbye.
I have to admit, I've really got quite a lot.